Today we're going to make some snowflakes again, but this is going to be different. Okay, so I cut my patterns out ahead of time so that I got an idea off of of course I got the idea off of Facebook. I get all my ideas off of Facebook. But we're going to take a rectangle of paper, we're going to fold it in half and then fold one side in half again and then overlap this side by just a little bit. And I'll show you it does overlap a little bit. See, look at that. And that's because we're going to glue it down. Now I didn't have any glue on me, so I'm just using Mod Podge. Love that stuff. That stuff is good for just about everything. So, and on this first snowflake, I am going to go at just 2 times the speed so that you kind of get a better idea of what it is I'm doing, as opposed to going 5 times the speed, which I normally do. That'll just take it way too quickly. So then we're going to fold that in half again, this time lengthwise, and we're going to glue that down as well. Part of that didn't glue down, so I've got to fix it. Fix it. There we go. Good job, Laurie. Laurie's doing so good. Oh, pat her on the head. She is precious. Now, I kind of wish that I hadn't done the glue along the bottom side, just because you'll see when it's time to open these up, it did make it a little bit more difficult to open up. But that kind of gives us what's going to turn out to be one of our snowflake stems. You're going to make 6 of them. You can make anywhere between 6 and 8. I found that the more you do, though, the more it ends up looking like a flower rather than a snowflake. So I'm going to take my pattern now, which I have pre-cut to be the size of the different stems, and then cut the pattern out of it. And I was going to say something and it went away. Wow, guys, don't get older. It's rough on the brain. So we're going to cut this out, and we're going to do that for all 6. They're going to all be the same, because snowflake patterns are typically repeated throughout. And I found the interesting thing with the different patterns is if you cut on both sides, it gives a see-through effect. You can see right through the snowflake. If you just leave one side cut and the other side not, then it gives a background to it. And the more intricate the top of your papers are, the stems are, the more intricate the pattern along the top, and it turns out so pretty. So now we're going to glue each of our little stems together. I don't know why I'm calling them stems, but I don't know what else to call them, because they really are just little stems that come off of the, and see the way that pulls apart. Oh, that was just like a little preview. Excuse me, I got a little frog in my throat this morning. So I just realized that I didn't cut a part out of this one, so I've got to quickly go in and just trim that up. Okay. So we're going to glue these all together, and this time I do want to glue along the bottom, because it helps keep the snowflake more stable, especially when it's time to spread it apart. And then I ended up leaving this to dry for a couple of days. I wanted the glue to really set, and I had other things to do. So I was just a busy girl. So we glue all of them down, and then, oh, look at that. I didn't want to pull it too far apart just because I knew the glue wasn't dry. So now we're going to fast forward and we're going to do the same thing with our other 6 colors. That's right, I made 7 snowflakes. I got most of the pattern ideas, again, off of Facebook. It's just one of those things where something starts coming across your feed, and then that's all you see. You watch one, and that's all you see on Facebook are these things. But I was so fascinated by how these turned out that I watched every single one that I could. It was just, and I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. So I picked out, now the thickness of your paper is going to make a big difference on how this turns out. I had um, I didn't have any just colored, fun, regular, thickness. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to talk. Thickness of paper, and so I did have some scrap papers that I used to use when I did scrapbooking, and so I got those out, and that's what I am using. And so it's a little bit thicker. It was a little harder to cut into, and so I think if I had cut a little deeper into the paper, that it might have had a more impressive effect. But I'm a newbie, it's my first time trying this, and so this one will turn out really interesting. It ends up looking more like a flower than it does a snowflake, but I did like the way it turned out. Now my colors, my papers, some of them have patterns on them, some of them don't. Probably would have looked better had I had just all the same color, style, whatnot. But I'm pleased with the way it looks. There we go. And then we'll put that off to the side. And the next one we'll get out is our yellow ones. Yellow is probably one of my most favorite colors. And so I thought that I would do something with a little more pizzazz on this one. We'll put those together. And I actually did cut a little bit deeper in this one. Now you'll notice on the left hand side that I didn't do any kind of a pattern on that side. And that is so the pattern on the right hand side will really show through. Okay, next up is, it's pink, but it looks kind of orange. But then you'll see it compared to the actual orange. Now, what I was saying about the thickness of the paper really stood true here. That was really difficult to cut through. Those tiny little, oh my gosh, stripes, whatever you want to call them, on the right-hand side were really difficult to get into. And I think I could have done a better job on it if my paper hadn't been quite so thick. But it is what it is, and we will just move on and hope for the best. Alright, now you'll see what really orange is. Now this ended up, ironically, this ended up being my favorite out of all of them, this pattern right here. And I say ironically because orange is my least favorite color. I don't know what it is about orange. I like it when it's combined with other colors, but when it's on its own, I'm just like, yeah, it's definitely the last color I'll choose. So, but be that as it may, I ended up doing my absolute favorite pattern on the orange one. And then this last one that I put together, the light green, was one that I came up with on my own. And I thought, the way that I was doing it, I thought, oh, it'll end up looking like a Christmas tree. It did not end up looking like a Christmas tree. I think if I had gone a little bit deeper with my cuts, it might have looked better. But in all honesty, it kind of looked like a fourth grader did it. No offense to any fourth graders out there, but it definitely didn't look like I was some kind of professional. But still, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I don't know why I make you look through all my gluing, but I do. Alright, now, like I said before, I left these to dry for a few days. Mostly because I had other things to do. But I really did want to make sure that there was just enough time for the glue to really adhere. So we're going to go through and we're going to open these up one at a time. I'm going to use hot glue this time because I needed it to dry quickly. I didn't let this heat up or warm up enough for this first part, so it'll actually come apart. This one I had the most trouble with. First of all, I opened it up so it's backwards. You can't even see the front part. But then as I was putting it together, guess what happens? Oh, another one of them. So I quickly glued that. The glue was warming up a little bit better by then, but I handed it over to my daughter. Look at how pretty that turned out. Who opened it up, or who was playing with it, and then she was so upset because one of the sections died again, and so I had to re-glue it after I do the yellow one. But look at that. Look at that. It's so cool when it quote unquote blooms. And you can see how cool the outside is just depending on the pattern that you cut into it. Here I am re-gluing it for the last time. But that kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like. Alright, next we have our light blue one, which has hearts in it. And kind of a castle looking top. Now because this was cut with both sides being the same, oh, that was, okay, there, right there, you can see the reason that I regretted having glued everything together, because it was so hard to get it apart. Now this one winds up looking more like kind of a leaf or flower. But it's still pretty. Look at how pretty that is. I admired that one the longest. Here we go. Okay, the orange one. Here is oh, this one just turns out to be my absolute favorite. Now it's the same on both sides, so it's going to cut through and you can look through it. But I just love the hearts and I love the top. It just turned out so cute. Look at me admiring the orange one. Now we have the pink one. Look at those slim little cuts. They just make the cutest design. Kind of hard to see in my lighting. I apologize. One day I'm going to be all grown up and have proper lighting and everything. But then we had a little mix up in the back. That just glued itself. But you know what? It looks good from the front. And now we have mine. Well, everyone, I hope that you all have a very Merry Christmas or a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is you love to celebrate. If you just like to celebrate winter, then happy winter and a happy new year. If I don't see you the week of New Year's, then I will see you in the week of the new year. I hope that made sense. Everybody have a great day. Make it a great week, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.